that is, if we can consider very seriously as a recommendation of this committee, the pretermination of the IPP and finance it by some other way, because we're talking here of another $3.5 billion, very expensive rates at that. But if we can preterminate this, I think there can be a financial engineering scheme that can solve the problem. The GOF is here. Maybe ask the opinion of the Undersecretary from the Department of Finance, because this is one way of reducing the burden to the economy by a very creative financing scheme to preterminate the IPPs, Mr. Chairman.
And in conjunction with that, Mr. Chair, may I just also take this opportunity to ask the representative from PISA to give us a paper on how the PPA will eventually be removed and what periods are we talking about. Because that's too much of a burden on consumers talaga. It's what makes the Philippines, for investments purposes, a negative destination because of the high power rates, and not just for the investors but also for us consumers. So if that paper can be submitted, so we will be guided accordingly on how the PPA will eventually be removed from our bills.
Maybe one solution, Mr. Chairman, is that the proceeds from the privatization can be used to buy out the IPP. Chairman, maybe the DOF can comment on this.
We will take a look at the suggestion. And I
Chairman,
think,
that answer is not sufficient. Parang tayo rin, sabihin natin, we'll take a look, we'll consider it, but you know, we have to be more serious about this. This is a very serious proposal on my part. And this is not an unusual proposal. This is something that happens every day in business transactions.
Yes, sir. We have we know that. I guess it's a matter of from our side to take a look at the legal side of it, and but on the financial side, I do agree with you.
Yeah, it's like, for example, one very simple example, Mr. Chairman, is if you are leasing a car, for example, and then you end up determining that the lease that you entered into is on the high side. So you have a buy or lease proposition. In this particular case, you decide, I think instead of continuing the lease, I will just buy the car. I will go to the bank and buy the car at a commercial price. So instead of paying so much money for the lease, I buy it outright. I pay the penalty of having to come out with more money upfront. But of course, the advantage there is that it would mean less burden on me on a monthly or annual basis. A buy or lease decision is a very common transaction in finance.
Yes, sir. We agree with that. I think it is a matter of just for PISA to take a look at the contract, sir. Once to see what are the limitations and the contract and things like that. But I do agree with the proposals.
When can we have a more definitive position from PISA and from the Department of Finance on this?
Sir, I can commit to a specific date. Well, if you will recall, sir, the IPP contracts underwent already a renegotiation. And it is in that context that we will be reviewing, sir, the buyout and buyback provisions. There have been ongoing efforts to review those provisions precisely to minimize the liabilities of government. But as far as a specific timetable goes, I can't commit to one right now.
Mr. Chairman, even on a conceptual basis, we're going to be sitting here for until next week, I think, until next week, or even Monday, week after, up to 16, no? That's about a week. The financial people can very easily churn out a concept on this together with the legal people after looking at the contract and whether it allows such kind of a pretermination. Normally, even if it's not in the contract, it is a business proposition. In other words, everything is for sale. As long as the proposition is something that is attractive to both parts of the contract.
We can submit a report in 2 weeks.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So on the privatization side, we would just like to report that the Privatization Council handles the privatization transactions for all other transactions other than the PISAM transaction. So with respect to privatization, this forms part of the non-tax revenues of government. And we would like to report that from 2004 to 2008, we were able to generate 155 billion pesos.